Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. My name is Ursula, and I'm just a Black girl trying to get my shift together. Tonight is going to be very fun yet informative because we're going to talk about something that everyone does. We all date, we've all been in relationships. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You need to stay and listen for the entire video if you're tired of having the same old dating struggles, if you feel like you're stuck in a cycle of disappointment, and if you just tired of being tired and wondering what else can I do to change and have something different. So I want you to join me tonight as I have relationship coach Paul Bryant. He's your 30 plus relationship specialist, and he's going to unlock some secrets to transform your love life. And here at Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, we are always about being solution based. So he's going to provide you with some keys to unlock some lasting happiness, but more importantly, some fulfilling connections. So I want you to just get ready, because we're just going to throw this dating despair in the trash and we're going to step into a new world of understanding. So I want you to hold on and we'll be right back.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celeste your body, drink your water. Meditate, sun kiss God is heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog.
All right, we're back. Black girls getting their shift together. If you can hear my voice right now, make sure you click the subscribe button. Make sure you like, comment, share. If this is on the replay, please type replay in the notes as well. And if you're excited about Coach Paul being live with us tonight, drop a light bulb emoji, because we're going to learn a lot tonight. Drop those light bulb idea emojis in the chat right now. All right. For people listening on the audio podcast, please make sure, give your girl a 5-star review. I would appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to get right into it right now. So tonight, we're going to talk about relationships. Again, we've all been in them. But we're going to try something new. So why not have a specialist to come on out? So, Coach Paul, I'm going to bring you out of the waiting room right now.
Okay.
How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm well. I'm okay. Look, we already have some light bulb emojis. People are getting the aha moments already.
Nice.
That's just
Let's go.
you.
Let's go.
Let's get it. Okay. Hello, Gloria. Hello, Anisha. Choice. All right. Let's get right into it. Relationships. Before we get into that, what made you want to become a relationship coach specialist?
Well, I used to be, like a lot of other men. I was a player, right? Played all the games, did all those types of things.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Were you out here breaking hearts?
Yeah, from the time I was 15 years old, all the way through.
15?
15 was the first time I started going the extra mile with women. And, as you go through life, and you get older, you have different interactions and different experiences. You just learn more. You start to learn different mechanics and how things work and how women respond and all types of things. You become good at doing what you do.
Right.
And that's where I was. So in 19, I think it was around 98, I ended up giving my life to the Lord. Once I gave my life to the Lord, I wanted to change. I didn't want to do those things anymore. And I started going to church. My two sisters both have daughters. And because of that, that really kind of like, prompted me to write my first book, because I wanted to warn them about the game. That's really why I did my first book. It was really for
Really?
them. Yeah, it was for them. So out of that book came an opportunity for me to start traveling and speaking and talking to people about relationships and all that. So this was around 2014 to about, and I wrote the book in 2016. And then I stopped for a while, for a couple of years, because I got into another business venture, but I was always passionate about this topic. And then I got back into it.
Really? How does it feel now that you got back into it?
I think it's amazing. The beautiful thing about what's happening now is that we have so many different platforms for me to be able to engage with people. Right. When I first started, there was really nothing but Facebook and Instagram. There was no TikTok.
Right.
So and Instagram at that point was really only for photos. The stuff we could do with Instagram then we couldn't really do back then. So
Right. Right.
a lot of stuff I did was about traveling and getting invited to places. But doing it this way allows me a greater reach.
Mm. So why I see your target audience or your niche is 30 plus. Why that age bracket?
I really can help. The information I give is really can help a lot of people, but my typically the people that are drawn to me first, and it could be just because of my age or because of my look, I don't know. But I usually get that 30 and up for the most part. Women, I got women from the age of 30 till about 60. I think the oldest woman I did work with is like 66, 67. So usually that's typically the age range. And what I did is I just let this thing, have a mind of its own, and I just followed it. Whatever I saw happening and
Right.
happening consistently, I just continued in that. And what I started seeing consistently is that age group. So I stuck there.
Okay. Well, I'm glad because looking at my audio podcast analytics, I have listeners from 18 to 60 plus, but the majority of my audience, the majority of the listeners, 30 to 44. So that's another reason why that was an extra added nail in the coffin to go on ahead and contact you. Cause I said, okay, we have the same demographic. Perfect.
Yeah. Nice.
Perfect. Yes.
Nice.
It was a real good alignment. All right. Before we get into you and I and our dialogue, listeners, I'm going to ask you a question. And if you feel open enough, because we're all about healing and learning, just type your answers in the chat. So, what I like to know from you all, if you've ever found it challenging to open up and be vulnerable with someone that you're dating. And if yes, what's holding you back? And if no, what was your turning point where you felt very vulnerable and you felt okay with it? So, I'll wait on those answers. And with your permission, this is up to you, Coach. If anyone has questions, are they okay to come on and ask you or type it in the
Oh,
chat?
yeah. I'm here to serve. Whatever they need, I'm here.
All right. So I'll drop the link in a few minutes, everyone. But Coach Paul and I are going to chop it up. All right. So in one of your TikTok videos, and I'm going to drop the TikTok account for everyone. It is very informative. But you also talked about the fear of vulnerability at one point in dating. And so where do you think that comes from? People being scared or apprehensive to open up?
Well, if you're speaking from the aspect of men, it's just that it takes a while for a man to really trust anyone. Period. Most men are not very trusting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you talk about us being vulnerable, like we're not taught to really show much emotion and all those types of things. So we don't do it often. But
Right.
we long to do it though. That's the thing. We long to do it. But we looking for a place that we can do that, and we know that whatever we release or we share is going to be protected. And sometimes it may be a situation that a man has tried that before and it didn't work, so he shuts down. Typically with a man, I'm telling you right now, if we do something one time and we give you an area of us that nobody else gets, and you kind of fumble the bag, by not handling that properly, after that point, we shut down for a while. And you probably would never get us to open up like that again in that particular relationship. And then as we move forward, it's much more difficult for the next woman to get us to open up.
Really?
Yeah.
So is it a constant trying to pry, open up to get?
It's just the comfort level that we feel with a woman. We're gonna test the waters. That's just what we do. We're gonna test the waters and kind of like see, maybe we might share some things and see how it go. And then once we get comfortable, we just gonna, and once we find a place typically that we could be vulnerable, that's typically the place that we'll stay. If let me say this, if the vulnerability is protected, let me say that, not just because we're being vulnerable, but if we can be vulnerable and the vulnerability is protected, that's typically the place that we'll stay for a period of time.
Okay. So let's pivot to attachment styles. You and I both know that this is very huge when it comes to relationships. And I believe it doesn't matter if it's if you're dating, if you're married. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
On attachment styles?
Yeah, whether if it's marriage or even in dating.
Oh yeah, I think you need to know it in both situations, because if you understand attachment styles in marriage, which a lot of people don't, because these are things that you should learn actually while you're dating, and then these things lead you into marriage. This knowledge, if you look at, there's a scripture in the Bible, I can't remember the exact, it's in Ephesians, I believe, where it says, husbands, deal with your wives according to knowledge, right? There's something about us understanding one another. The reason why I feel like a lot of relationships don't last is because there's not enough understanding of the individual and what makes us tick and how we move. Because once I understand this, then we can set proper boundaries. Even in marriages, proper boundaries can be set once I understand this is why you do what you do. But what we do is we just start to clash a lot of time. There's a clash that happens, right? And we never really solve problems because it's constant this. But the real problem is that we just wired differently, and we need to understand that wiring in order to make it work.
I like what you said. I think it's also important that we learn our own selves first before we start trying to learn other people. And here's a perfect example. When I had a coach, it wasn't a dating, it was a life coach I had, and she had asked me a question of something, I forgot what it was, of what I want. Well, automatically in autopilot, I went right into what I don't want, but I had no idea what I wanted, and I was stumped. I thought about it, and I just gave up because I did not know how to answer, but it was always trigger quick on what I didn't want. So pivoting over to date or relationships and getting to know someone, I do feel that it's important you get to know yourself so that you can have some clear, defined core values, know your boundaries so you can stick to them. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's definitely first things first. I don't think anybody should be in a relationship or trying to be anything committed before you understand who you are, because at that point you're going to be dealing with you're not pointed. There's no real direction. What you're doing is you're dealing with everything that makes you feel good. I spent time with him, he made me feel good, and so you basing a deeper connection off of how you felt initially. And we all know that feelings fade. You need to be doing this based upon facts, and a lot of those facts stem from what I know about me.
Right. Exactly. And also with that feel good, how that feels, I feel that we chase that feeling, and we know that it'll be a toxic relationship, but we chase that just like a drug addict, just trying to get that feeling of that first hit of what that relationship felt in the beginning. Meanwhile, we're having all these red flags that we just turn into red blankets and make it look pretty with our rose-colored glasses, right?
Well, the thing I always say about those red flags is that here and again, this is understanding you as an individual first, is because if you are a person who's needy, right? If you're a needy dater, I say this all the time. Anybody that's ever followed me, you probably heard me say this hundreds of times. If you are a needy dater, you will intentionally overlook red flags to get your needs met. So before you start moving around and trying to get anything done with anybody, make sure you are in a good space within yourself. Because I mean, common sense, that ain't common to everybody. Really is you shouldn't be dating if you're dating because you have to. Like you need money, you need somebody to help you with the bill. I just need somebody to help me with these bills. These bills are too much. So you go find any Joe Blow to help you,
Right.
or you need sex.
Right.
Or you need whatever. It's always a need. And one thing about women, this is what they say about women. They say that women are smarter than men.
Okay.
What that really means, really, it's not necessarily that y'all brains are so much better than ours or bigger than ours or what. No, what it means really is that you guys are more in tune to your intuition than we are. That's really what that means. That means you respect your intuition more than we do. The thing about men, something to tell us not to do something, but if we want it bad enough, we ignore that and go do it, right? Your intuition and women, y'all are more in tune to that. That's what makes y'all a little bit smarter. Y'all don't, but when it comes to dating, you ignore the very thing that makes you different. Then, you ignore it when it comes to dating because a lot of times it's because there's a need. There's a need that you're trying to get met, emotional need or whatever it is.
Yeah, I definitely feel it's an emotional need. And more often than not, it's that subconscious emotional need, which is how we navigate. I'm going to pull up a chart with the attachment styles. Since you
Yes.
talk about it a lot, we can go over these. And listeners, I want you to drop whatever attachment you feel that you identify with. Ooh, is that too small?
Small for my eyes.
Okay, so I'll read it. All right, so this is understanding attachment styles for better and healthier relationships. So first we have our anxious attachment style. There's an overwhelming fear of being alone, which is what you just talked about with the needy dater, needing to constantly have reassurance. You're jealous a lot, over possessiveness and neediness. There goes your word. And viewing yourself negatively, but others in a positive way. Ooh, that's pain point right there. And
Yeah.
highly sensitive to others' emotional states. Mm. All right. You have any thoughts on that, on the anxious attachment style?
Oh no, that's good. Keep going. That's good stuff.
Okay, I'll keep going. All right. So the disorganized attachment style. It's a negative view of yourself and others, finding it hard to maintain relationships. You find yourself in freeze and disassociate often. You feel unworthy and helpless, or you have unpredictable behavior. Then there's the avoidant attachment style. You view yourself positively, but others in a negative light. You push others away. You have trust issues and feel like you do not need anyone. That's that ultra independence. Crave emotional intimacy, but feeling uncomfortable when you get it. I want you and love you, but I don't need it right now. Or
Mm-hmm.
extremely independent. And then ultimately is a secure attachment style, which I know would be the healthiest of these attachment styles. And how that looks is that you have a healthy balance of independence and relying on others. You also have healthy boundaries, which what Coach Paul and I are going to talk about after this, and the ability to trust. That goes back to that vulnerability and viewing yourself and others positively and comfortable with healthy communication and emotional intimacy. We're going to talk about intimacy as well, because I'd heard you talk about that. And a strong self worth and confidence within. Woo, that was a lot.
That's
Okay.
good stuff.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Very much so. Wow, we could peel that apart. So, how does it look? What are your thoughts on an attachment of someone who has an avoidant attachment?
One of the things about that avoid attachment style, I think a lot of people say, avoiding, but there's two different types of avoiding. There's a fearful avoidant and there's a dismissive avoidant.
Okay.
Um, And the dismissive avoidant, when you really look into that, you start to realize that more people, when they get to ages around about 38 to 40, start operating with a dismissive attachment style. You start talking to older people enough, older like our age and up, you'll start to hear it. You'll hear it because that's where you get a lot of the people that say, I could be in a relationship with a person and they have their own spot or I have mine. Or they'll say something like, yeah, they say something like, well, I could be with him from time to time, but I would love for him to go home. It's always about space. You'll hear that a lot. It's always about space. Yeah. So dismissive. And when you're talking about fearful, the fearful avoidance style is basically a person who really wants a relationship, but as soon as they start becoming vulnerable with someone, they get afraid and they pull away. Why? Because typically those people grew up with parents who they had that showed them love and they were there with them, but something took them away, whether it was a job, career, whatever. It pulled them away and they had to spend time with another caregiver like a grandparent, aunt, or whatever. So every time they got close, it was this happening. So now there's a fearful avoiding that if I get close with you, you're going to pull away from me. So I need to pull away from you first.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me read this. Right here. Hi, Gloria Lang. She said, my anxious attachment is due to trauma at a young age. And that's where these attachment styles come from, is from childhood trauma or traumatic experiences, whether if it's a big T, maybe little t, but there's always a root, what you and I talked about pre-show, right?
Right. Exactly. And the thing of it is, when you look at these attachment styles, and you think about the number of relationships, let's think personally. Okay, let's think about our personal relationships that we've had.
Okay.
How many times did we enter into those relationships that we had and we had this information?
Oh,
I know, I know,
never.
I know I didn't. I didn't have it. But think about this. Right. Think about this though. Think about if we would have known this in some of those situations could have been saved because now there's a greater understanding of how I operate and how you operate. Right now we can set healthy boundaries. Um, People don't even understand the depth of the effect that happens to us when we are young and growing up. Right. There are a lot of secure people out here. A lot of people are secure. It's not like we got so many of the other ones are not secure. There's a lot of secure people. But when you think about our relationships with our parents or caregivers or whoever and the things that happen, a lot of times we don't correlate those things as following us throughout the rest of our lives. And that's what it does. And if we don't
Yeah.
know this, number one, and let's be clear, it's good for me to understand my attachment style, of course. It's also good for me to be able to understand the attachment style of the person I'm going to connect with. Because if you have an anxious attachment style, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to deal with somebody who's dismissive. Very difficult.
It is. It is. May I share a quick
Yes.
story?
Yes.
So, throughout my dating career, I had good relationships. There were at least two that were not. But overall, the men were good. They were decent. The relationships were good, but we never could, I felt on my end, get over that emotional speed bump, right? Why can't we just take it to the next level? So I found the attachment style quiz, the test, and I cannot find it to this day, but I found the longer version of it. So it not only gives you answers to your romantic relationships, but it also shows your attachment styles with your parent, your mother, your father, friendships, platonic friendships, and of course, relationships. And it gives you the answers on this grid, and it'll show you where each person is on the grid. And when I saw where my answers were, everything came to me. I remember I was reading it, and I remember I fell back on my bed because that aha moment literally knocked me back. And I said, that's why these relationships, and I'm thinking of, I'm making an itemized list of the brothers who were really they were good relationships, but now I know what my attachment style is. It made sense that they were avoidant and I had scored anxious. It all came full
Yep.
circle. I
Yep.
said, damn, if
Yep.
I would have known if I could have those years back. But you don't know what you don't know. But I'm
But
grateful, huh?
yeah, what you said is so true. Here's the thing I want everybody to understand when it comes to dating. Dating is just like anything else. You have to learn it. Anything else you start, jobs or whatever, you got to learn the job. Dating is something you have to learn. And
Yeah.
having tools to date does this, especially for women. What it does for y'all, it teaches y'all to date with your head and your heart. Most women
Can
are
you repeat
dating,
that again? Repeat
yeah.
that again.
You have these tools, okay? And it teaches you to date with your head and your heart.
And
So,
not your trauma.
right. So what happens is a lot of women today, it's like, let me just say this, and this is no disrespect to anybody. You're just not intelligent daters, right? You're not dating with your head and your heart. You're dating with all of this, everything here, which you can't rule this out too, because this is a part of who we are. Don't get me wrong, but it can't be all that. You have to date with your head and your heart. And once you get these types of information and some of the stuff that y'all heard me teach and all that kind of stuff, it puts you in a position to win, because now you know how to take that information and balance it out. Because before this information comes, it's not balanced. Everything is just one way.
Right. I love that part with the balance part. All right, everyone. If you have questions for Coach Paul, I'm going to drop the link. And if you respectfully ask him questions, you can come on live and you can ask him your question. We'll condense it and keep it brief. Let me drop that link now. The link is live. So if you'd like to come on, we'll have you. So let's talk about let's see. What other attachment style did we not go over? Let me pull this up. I think we got all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So based on your from your experience, do you see a lot more anxious, avoidant, secure, dismissive attachment styles?
I see a lot of anxious, but I see a lot of women now too though that are secure. I've seen women that they so secure they'll walk away from a situation in a minute and won't think twice. Yeah, I've seen a lot of women like that. So it's a little bit of everything. Um,
Right.
yeah, because people now are doing the work on themselves. People, I think this was happening. People are starting to do the work, so they know, what needs to happen in certain situations, and people are realizing that some things you just got to walk away from, no matter how hard it is. You just got to call a spade, and you got to walk away.
Exactly. So we have a compliment for you right here. Great
Thank you.
information, Coach Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. So let's talk about boundaries in dating and relationships. This is huge. Huge, huge, huge. I see you
Yeah,
shaking your head already.
yeah.
Why
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
shaking your head?
Okay, let me go back. Let me go back to old Paul. And
Okay.
what I would find was when I was dealing or meeting women, it got to a point to where I stopped respecting anyone. I stopped respecting a woman when she said she had boundaries. Not respecting her, but I stopped respecting the fact that she truly had boundaries. When a woman told me she didn't do certain things, I didn't even respect that, because I had seen too many women, you know, compromise on those boundaries just because they like me or they thought I was attractive or what have you. And
Right.
they would just everything they said they wouldn't do became a challenge for me to see if I can get them to do it. And most of the time, not all the time, I mean, not all the time, but most of the time, they did everything they said they wouldn't do. And what happens is once you compromise yourself like that, one of my best friends said this all the time. He says, once you compromise, you've been compromised. That's a true statement.
Wow.
Y'all, women, y'all don't understand that. Once you give in to one thing, you might as well just say, here go the rest of them. because once you give into one thing, it's over after that.
That the lowest emotionally hanging fruit?
Yeah. And let me say this. So when I was really running women and doing stuff like that, it's not that I couldn't get the type of woman that I really wanted. I just didn't have the energy for it because I knew that certain women was going to require a certain type of energy. And at that point, when I'm just out here running around and I don't really want nothing for real, I'm just trying to spend some time with you, get what I wanted. I don't want to put a lot of work in. So I'm gonna survey the room or wherever I am to
Right.
find a woman that I see that there's any part of vulnerability, or a woman who looks at me or responds to me in a certain way. Certain responses, even before she spoke, would tell me how far I can go with her. Just the over giddiness, the over politeness, the being overly just open to do, laughing extra hard. I already knew what that was. When I saw it, I knew it. I said, "Yep, this is her." And then I would make my moves. But the thing about me, which made me dangerous. The dangerous part about a person like myself was that I'm a person who has great conversation, and I could sit and talk to a woman about anything pretty much for as long as we need to, and that would lock most women in. And then once I got you locked in, everything else after that was a wrap. I mean, I could just do what I wanted to do from that point on.
So why do you feel that women that, from your experience, compromise on our boundaries, or what you've experienced from coaching?
The same thing. It's because some women have a desire of something that they want so bad. So they have this image in their mind of what they want. And when they see a particular guy who lines up with that, they feel like this is the particular person. So you just rush right into that. Let me tell you ladies something. Men, when we first see you ladies, and we see something about you we like, there's a fantasy that happens in our head about you. Mm-hmm. Right? We start fantasizing in a way about you. As soon as that fantasy is gone, listen to this. If anybody, and see, I'm telling y'all the life that I really live. Like y'all, I'm telling y'all all the stuff that. If you go to a strip club,
right,
which I used to do, and this happened a couple times. I go to the strip club. There was a woman in the strip club that would come over and talk to me, and I would go a couple of times. And I knew the first time I went, she was digging me. Right. I wouldn't put no pressure on her the first time. I would go back a couple of times. The next time I go back, I'm doing a little bit more. We going to the back doing more. Next thing you know, she's leaving the club with me. Once she left the club with me, if they saw that, they fired her. Why? Because once she left the club with me, she just ruined the fantasy. Men in strip clubs pay for the fantasy.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Got it.
So she ruined the fantasy. I don't need to come back and give you no money now. Why? I had the real deal. Well, it ain't a fantasy no more.
Right. Well, and I'm thinking about it on the business end as well. I can see why they would have fired her, because you're gone. You have her. You're not going to spend any money.
Exactly. All those words about fantasy. So men will keep coming after the woman because of what they believe about her. And then once he gets it, the fantasy's gone. And that's why I say to ladies, when you meet a guy, you got to make sure that he's coming after you for the right reasons. If you give him too much too soon, it's gone after that. You pretty much lost all. And a comedian said this, and it was super hilarious. Corey Holcomb is a very raw comedian. Ooh, but there's a lot of truth in some of the stuff he said. And one of the things he said, he says, women, once you give a man your vagina, you just lost your bargaining chips.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that. So let's piggyback off of that. So when I was listening to you today, let's talk about Betty. Miss Betty, the beginning of this story, I caught the very end of it. How did that conversation come up about this Betty person?
So I was telling the ladies today how important it is to develop the inner man more so than the outer man, because a lot of times what y'all do on the outside ain't really for men, it's for other women. It's not for us. Because honestly, we don't really care about some of the stuff y'all do. All of the nails we like it. It's cool. But how many times you ever heard a man say, "I'm only gonna take you out if you wear nails," or "I'm only gonna take you out if you got eyelashes"? Men don't really. We not really that. We don't really. Some men are vain and want you to have a certain size breast and all that. We're not talking about those men. Talking about
Okay.
real men, good men. They don't really care about that. We will take you with stretch marks, varicose veins, whatever, right? And what
Mm-hmm.
I said about Betty is, while you over here beautifying yourself and trying to win him from the outside, Betty, she's straight on the inside, but her outside don't look that good. Now she might,
Okay. That's how
yeah.
it. Okay.
Betty might be cockeyed. She can't even see down in a straight line. And you look better than Betty, right? But guess what? Betty married. You ain't. Why? Because Betty understood how to tell a man that came into her life no, because she was healed enough to know that a man doesn't create her world. She is who she is with or without a man, right? She wants a man, but she don't need a man. So Betty don't let him come over and just do whatever he want to do. He ain't in Betty house eating up all her steaks and her kids fruit snacks and all that kind of stuff. So he married Betty just because Betty was a person that wouldn't allow him to take advantage of her. Woo. And I'm telling you, ladies, whenever a man start taking advantage of you, you think you're doing yourself a favor by letting him do. Oh, it's only gonna get worse, and he's never gonna really commit to you.
Right. I was listening to this podcast, and it was a brother was on there, and he's healing, right? But when he was in the depth of just he had a girlfriend, he was in a relationship, and he was a serial cheater. And he said, I could not understand why my lady kept taking me back. And he said, I was scared the first time. I knew the repercussions. And he said, when she took me back, he said it was a game changer in their relationship. He said the unhealed part of me disrespected her. Yeah, with the cheating, but just his whole thought process about her, because he didn't it took him to go through his healing journey, realizing that it turned him off that she was allowing him to treat her consistently bad, and that she kept taking him back. And so he said where he ultimately, the initial part of losing respect for her is when he went away and he was meeting another woman, and on his way back his lady had already forgiven him before he made it cross back to the state lines. So he said that he didn't realize it, but subconsciously he was punishing her. I don't know what that thought process was, but this is what he's saying. Because why would you take me back? That's what he's thinking. And so that makes me want to ask you about the non-negotiables, and if you can talk about how important non-negotiables are in relationships, or your own non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables are super duper important, just like knowing your core values and sticking to them. All those things are important because they become a deterrent, or they'll make a guy who doesn't have any real honest motives about you. They'll get him out of the way real quick, because at the end of the day, these guys don't want to do a lot of work. Like your non-negotiables, number one, is going to cause you to keep him. It won't allow him to do everything he's really coming to do. And once he see that he can't do those things, he's not going to spend a lot of time with you. Why? There's somebody down the street that he can go and get it easier. Why would I try to go rob a fortified bank when I can go over here and rob Miss Betty at the ATM? It's an easier, you understand what I'm saying? I know that's a bad metaphor, but it's like it's an easier situation. Why would I try to force my way into this when I can go over here and just take this with no real work? So having your non-negotiables and all that would just push these guys away really, really quick. I gave y'all the story about, did you hear the story I told them about the lady that I'm coaching?
No, share it.
Okay, here go a great example of that. So there's this lady that I'm coaching. She was dealing with this dude for about 2 weeks. The dude was, he was taking her out. They're not having a great time, spending money on. And they was at dinner. He told her that he wanted for them to be exclusive. She said, okay, she said, you sure about that? And you're like, okay, so at that point, he was supposed to be coming to her house to spend the night with her, probably somewhere in the third week.
Okay.
But because she remembered what I taught her about not doing that and waiting it out, she called him back and told him and said, you know what? I think we're moving a little bit too fast. I want to continue to move like we've been moving, and I don't want to invite you to my house. So basically, she told him no. He cussed her out. Cussed her out.
Well, she got her answer right there on how he truly is at the core. Wow.
But what I'm saying is that your boundaries are there for a reason. It's going to reveal who this person is. And I tell you ladies all the time, one of the best ways to find out who a guy is, or anybody else really, but who a man is to tell him no. How people deal with the word no is going to reveal to you their true character. Because people that are toxic, what y'all like to use the word narcissistic all the time, or just spoiled, do not like the word no. And once you say it and they can't handle it, and that's one of your boundaries, and they curse you out because of your boundaries, or they trying to force you or manipulate you to fold on your boundaries, you know they don't mean you any good. It's no need to stay around. It's totally cut them off, delete the number, and move on down the road. Yeah.
So, why do you think the word no is so? Never mind. I just answered my own question. I was going to ask you why is that so difficult? But when you do hear it, that was a whole adult tantrum that he had. But he showed his true colors. And imagine if she didn't have any boundaries, she could have been dating him for 6 months, 6 years, 2 years.
Look, so what he did. And me and her had a talk about this, and I was so proud of her for doing that, because when I first met her, she wouldn't have been able to say no to him. He would have been at her house. But because we've been coaching together and walking together, at this point, she like, listen, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was so excited for her to put that boundary and stick to it, right? I mean, it just did me well. So he actually tried to reach back out to her again to try to.
How soon after that? Was it
I think it was like a couple of days. So he sent her a text, and I think, listen, this is what she said. She asked him, and I don't know why she asked him this, but she asked him, she says, "Oh, you still mad at me?" He says, this is what he said to her. He said, "Yeah, I'm mad at you. You got to make it up to me."
Okay. Really?
You see what I'm saying? So I told her, I said, listen, I said, just go ahead and cut him off. I said, you don't even understand it. But she's growing. But one thing about women in general, you guys have a hard time sometimes, not all women, but some of y'all have a hard time just moving on from a situation. That's why so many women try to keep these toxic men around as friends. There's many reasons why y'all do it, but one of the reasons it's hard for y'all to just cut it off and move on. Men are not like that. When there's something that we don't want or we don't like or we're not going to connect with, we cut it off. A lot of times we're going to ghost you. A lot of times nowadays they're going to ghost you. Or they're gonna leave you alone. Men will walk away from something quick. Look how many men will just walk away. Look how many men have walked away from their kids, family, marriages, everything. When the women, you see what I'm saying? Men will go, they'll just be out, but women won't do that.
From your experience, what have you heard on why is it so hard for women to leave or not want to be bothered?
So let's talk about, I think women are very optimistic daters. You're not realistic more so. You're more optimistic. Okay. Men are very realistic daters. And then also a lot of women like to keep men around, and you got to be honest with yourself. There's still a need. So if that man is fulfilling some sort of emotional need or a conversation, instead of you going back out trying to find something else, you tell yourself, well, I already got him over here. I could just continue to talk to him. He's fulfilling that need that you have, emotional need, even by having a conversation with him. You're afraid that if you cut him off, that then you're gonna have a void in that area of your life. Right. So you won't do it. And a lot of times what women do, it's the whole grieving process, especially if you've been in a relationship with a guy for a while. And if you cut it off and there was a lot of emotional investment, there's going to be a process of grieving. And grieving is not easy. It's like grieving. It's the same thing as grieving to death. It's not easy.
It really is.
So a lot of people a lot of women, what they do, they try to keep from having to go through that whole grieving process. They'll cut them off, but still keep them at arm's length.
Yes. I've seen that, and I've done this in the past too. And I never thought about it, about avoiding the grieving, but to avoid the grieving, continuously set the goalpost back.
Yep.
Constantly setting the goalpost back. So, okay, well, once we got to that goalpost, well, let me think of something else. Okay, my birthday's coming up. Suggest a birthday trip as friends.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Listen. Do you know how often I hear that? Do you not know? Oh my goodness. I got stories. Listen, I got stories for days. You look, I talk typically on a week, and during the week from Tuesday to Friday, I probably talk to 25, 30 women.
Wow.
On a week. Yeah. So my stories, listen. There was a young lady I was working with.
Mm-hmm.
She was dealing with this particular man. The guy left her. She didn't hear from him for about 4 months. He just disappeared for 4 months.
So he just ghosted.
4 months gone. She actually broke it off with him, she said.
Okay.
And he moved on because really he didn't want to be with her. She just gave him a reason to move on. So he left. He never called her for 4 months, but she never got over him. And the reason why, I told her, I said, listen, you need to cut him off. Stop calling him. And I said, grieve it and move on. But she was still kind of nitpicking in the situation. She had him at arm's length. So then this is what she did. She wanted to go to Puerto Rico. Guess who she calls to go to Puerto Rico with her? The guy. Right. So then when he calls her, guess what he tells? Guess what the first thing he said to her on the phone is?
What?
He says, I'll go with you, but just know we going as just friends. He told her, he basically telling her, I want this trip, but I don't want you. That's basically what he was saying.
That's right? Exactly what he said.
That's what he was saying. She didn't catch that. So
wait, excuse me. Hold on. How did she interpret that? Because I feel that women, because I've done this, so I'm speaking from my own personal experience as well. We can hear which will be the absolute truth of what this man is telling us, but we're going to turn it into something else and make it plan B. So did she switch it around?
No, she didn't. You know what she did? She ignored it altogether. She didn't even pay attention. She just ignored the comment.
Okay.
Like she didn't hear it. So
conveniently.
Right. So then this is what happens next. Then all of the excuses of why he's such a good person. This is one of the excuses she gave me. She said, and I asked her, I said, well, what is it about this guy that you love so much? He's an ex-drug dealer. He got 3 felonies. You having to help him get on his feet, but you in love with him. I said, I don't get it. She said to me, because he paid attention to me. She was married twice. And I guess these guys didn't get her attention. This guy, the drug dealer dude, first person that gave the attention she never had. Locked her in. Right? So she was getting her. Now let me tell you how she described he gave her attention. What was the big moment for her? She had to get some work done on her appendix or something on her body. So she had to go to Mexico to get it done. Guess who went with her? The guy. Guess who paid for the trip?
She did.
She paid for him to get down and everything. Then she tells me, well, when we was in Mexico, he just took such great care of me. I said, of course he did. You just bought him a trip to Mexico. Of course he gonna treat you like you a goddess.
He had incentive.
Right. But this is the type of stuff that I deal with and talk to about women all the time. It's the denial. It's the afraid to be alone. Oh, that ain't even it. So she left she was in my coaching community. She left after about 2 days. And this was the message that she sent me. She says, Coach Paul, I'm just not ready to change. And really what she was saying is she want that man because I told her to cut him off. And I put on a program. I said, give me at least 1 month of no dealing with him, no dealing with one man, and let's walk through this program. She says, I'm not ready to change. And this is what she said to me that blew my mind. She says, I don't want to talk about my self-esteem, because one of the questions I asked her was, how was your self-esteem? I don't want to talk about my self-esteem. My self-esteem is low. I know it is what it is, and I don't want to talk about it. That's what she said. I said, you know what? I respect your decision.
Yeah.
Take care.
So she was in tune, at least in tune enough to know that she was settling and this wouldn't be the right.
She wants what she wants. And see, this was a prime example of a woman that is very sexually active also. To the point where she would have sex before a date. I ain't never even heard about that before.
Girl. What?
She had a guy on standby that she never dealt with. They didn't go out, don't really talk. She don't want nothing from him, but he's available to her. If she going on a date, she would call him so they can have sex, so she can get that out of her system before she meet the new guy.
Oh, I see. Really? Okay, I get what you're saying now. I misinterpreted. Damn. Okay.
I'm telling you, the things I hear is just sometimes it's like I'm in shock sometimes. But at the end of the day, I love all these women, and I understand the emotional stuff that women go through. You got to understand. I was raised for a lot of my life in a single parent home with my mama alone.
Right.
So I understand certain dynamics when it comes to women. I've seen my mom go through emotional ups and downs, and I've seen how my daddy responded to her and treated her because of her emotions. So I saw this when I was young. Right. So here's the thing. We don't understand sometimes the things that we're seeing, what kind of seeds they're planting in us. So these same things that I saw was stuff that came back to me when I started doing the same thing that he was doing to my mom, to other women.
Yep. It's a cycle. It is a cycle. Wow. Wow. You all, I'm going to get right to your questions. You have a lot in here. Before I ask those questions, I want you all right now, if you are enjoying what you are listening to, you're enjoying what Coach Paul is talking about right now, if you can hit that subscribe button, drop some light bulb emojis in the chat, meaning you're getting some aha moments, everything is starting to make sense to you, and you want some more gems. So let me read some of these questions. Oh man, I missed a lot. Okay. So we have a question. So they're asking, so is your thought, Coach Paul, that people should not communicate their boundaries or just speak on the ones that they can truly stand behind?
I don't really think you should communicate your boundaries until you have to. I'm a believer in this. I don't believe that everything has to be disclosed. I think you can be honest though. There's a difference between disclosure and honesty.
Can you explain that in case people don't?
Meaning that you don't just have to go to a dinner and just automatically telling, or wherever you meet the guy, or wherever y'all, and just start automatically just telling him all this stuff, like disclosing all this stuff about you. That's disclosure when you just volunteer information. You don't have to do that, but you can be honest. If a question is asked about certain things, then you be honest about that question. You don't have, but you don't have this. Yeah, he gonna know sooner or later what your boundaries are.
Right. Exactly. I feel when it's just too much full disclosure, it's almost like verbal vomit.
Yeah.
It's just too much too soon. I'm gonna tell you this story. This was a while ago. I went out on this date and it was one of the worst first dates ever. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. How real you want me to get with this story?
I want to hear the real. I want to hear the real.
Okay, this is the real.
Okay. Okay.
He's a police officer. Okay. Oh, Jackie, I see you're in the chat. I'm gonna have to be really careful because you may know this person. We live in the same city. He's a police officer. This was years and years ago. I didn't know him at the time, but his I can't say this word on YouTube. His partner was unalived. You get what I'm saying? In the line of duty. So I went on this first date with this police officer maybe a couple years after, maybe within a year. Anyway, we meet and I smelled alcohol on his breath. And it was strong. Okay. So we sat down. So I already knew he had already been drinking. So we sat down. I had a glass of wine. He ordered a Long Island iced tea. And when he got his Long Island, this is what he did.
Wow. Wow.
Put it down. Asked the waitress for a second one. Got the second one.
Whoa.
Oh, it gets better. Then he started telling me that his partner was unalived in the line of duty, and he realizes that he thinks he's all right from it, even though he had to take leave of absence from work, which I'm assuming they had to do because he was there. And then he was saying that and this is when let me preface this is when I was not in the business of asking questions. So I'm taking my own responsibility and accountability. I wasn't in that space then. He told me that he had 4 kids from 3 different women. He's been in court several times because of child support and not paying it, plus his taxes. And then he ordered another Long Island iced tea.
Oh my Lord.
So we're at 4 now, right? I was instantly turned off. I drank just a half a glass of my wine. So while I'm faking the funk, not holding my boundaries, because I should have left. Let me keep it real. He looked at me. He said, "Do you want that?" I said, "What?" He said, "Your wine." And before I answered, he took my glass of wine, drank half the glass
Oh
of the
my
wine.
goodness.
By this time, his voice was slurring. And then he asked the waitress for another Long Island iced tea. And I went like this to the waitress, like, "No, don't give him another one." And so she said, "Well, I can't because it seemed like you've had too much." He pulled his badge out, slammed it on the counter on the bar, and said, "Oh, you're gonna give me one." Then he started cussing the waitress out about not giving him another Long Island iced tea, and that not only give it to him, but give it to him in a to-go cup. She didn't do it. So he ended up paying for another one, drank it. By this time, he almost fell off the bar stool. And I said, I said, "We're over." "Oh, you're not going to order any food?" I said, no, I'm not hungry. And we left. And this is him walking, staggering. So I left him. To this day, I don't know if he made it home. I don't know. But when I did, because it's a really big mall where we were, and I circled around, this man was asleep in the car, passed out.
Wow.
Never. That was one of the worst first dates ever.
Wow.
But I'll admit, I was very slack on my standards, boundaries, and expectations. And that should have ended earlier.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely. I mean, that would not happen today. But we always have these whispers of our intuition. I just feel that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think made you stay?
Oh my God, the validation. He was just loving on me, like, "Oh, you're so pretty." So yeah, and then excuse me, then when his voice started slurring, and then it would get to the point, like, "Okay, Ursula, you're not gonna ignore this anymore. You just, it's done." But yeah, just the nice, sweet nothings he was saying.
So another question. So if you think, and I know you passed this, but I'm just trying. I like to ask questions because this how I learn as well.
Yeah.
So if he wouldn't have got to the point where he was slurring, do you think you would have stayed?
No, because with all the kids, and then he's speaking about the traumas that he had with that going back to that verbal vomit I was talking about, I felt like I was being fire hosed with too much. The information he was sharing, it was overwhelming for me. It was too much. I never looked down on therapy then, but I knew the information he was telling me, like, brother, you need to talk to someone. And I'm not the person. And it felt like an emotional dumping. No, I wouldn't have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real. It's real. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, I don't know or really care. That was so long
Yeah.
ago. And that's
Right.
it's another lifetime ago, but that wouldn't happen
But
now at all.
you learn from stuff. You learn from we've all done stuff. The beautiful thing is that you don't keep repeating that. That you learn from it. You did,
Oh yeah.
self-inspection and introspection and looking at what went on, and that's the good thing. So yeah.
Absolutely. We have, hey Celeste. She commented that a lot of women focus on their goal when dating. Example, marriage, meaning marriage is the goal. They look over the ways that does not wait. They look over the ways
That does
it
not work.
does
I
not work.
found I
Go ahead.
found women are afraid of starting over, being alone. Now that's true. A lot of women are very, very afraid of starting over being alone. But you know what? I always tell ladies this: getting married or being in a healthy relationship is not your only goal. That's part of the problem. Is that when you ladies start dealing with men a lot of time, you lose focus on everything else you had going on, and your only focus now is on that one goal. And that's a mistake that you make. You should never do that. Always, you know what I'm saying, remember that, you got other things you want to achieve. That's when you get to that situation to where you have a healthy balance of me and we time.
Absolutely.
I don't know if y'all know. I put a post up on my page on TikTok a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about how women shouldn't always be so available to men. Every time he calls, you're available. A couple of men today, if y'all go back, I had the same hat on, but I had a different shirt. A couple of men came into the post. One of the guys said this. He says, don't listen to this guy. He said, if you tell me you're not available, on to the next one. Well, stupidity. He didn't hit the stupidity in that, because you just basically told these women, if you can move on that quick, that means that somebody's still in your vicinity, idiot. You understand what I'm saying? If you could just move away from her, move to somebody's in the vicinity. Then he says, I want to be able to come home after a long day and be up under my woman be up under me. See, the problem is this right here. A lot of these guys have their own issues, and they need that attention from a woman. So they need you around them all the time. A healthy man is going to applaud the fact that you have a life apart from him.
Right.
Yeah. So if you get a man that's always wanting you around, and you can't tell him I'm not available right now, he gets upset. Oh my God, that's something to look into.
So what are your thoughts on men who do not have friends? For if a woman asks you that, like, yeah, my man, he doesn't have any friends.
Well, I would say this: the older men get, the less friends they have. I'm telling you, y'all. If you, some of this stuff I'm telling y'all, it sounds weird, but if you just go back and look at people around you and in your life and see. Typically, when men get older, they have less and less friends, and for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's because the friends they had pass away. They're not around anymore, right? These are probably friends they had a lot of their life, so they don't go out and create new friends, because now you're old and you're not out on the scene, and you're not doing the things you used to do to kind of meet people like that. So now your friend is low. So you might have one or two acquaintances,
okay,
but you don't have friends. And typically, men, their best friend, really, and this is just a fact. If a man is married or in a serious relationship, his best friend is going to be his girl.
Okay.
Yeah, his best friend is going to be the woman in his life. Some men, as they get older, we just don't have a lot of male acquaintances anymore for whatever reason. Like I said, one of the reasons, definitely all that. But yeah, if you meet a guy and he has, he's a loner. That's a whole different ball game. He's a loner. he don't get along with friends of he don't get along with family.
That's what
He
I'm
don't get
talking
along.
about. The lone
Yeah,
wolf type of
he don't get
person.
along with people at his job. Yeah, that's something to look into as well. Because you want to be with somebody that friends and family or somebody can speak well of this guy. Because listen, if you have good energy about yourself, you're gonna attract people that want to be around you. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying?
Someone said that earlier in the comments. So we have hey Jackie. She said, "Hey y'all, great topic."
Hey, Jackie.
And we do that foolishness sometime. I'm not sure what that was. And so her issues are deep and you can't fix them. Only she can.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's something about I don't know what that meant. Get real, sis. Yes, Jackie, he was dealing with PTSD for
Oh, no
sure.
doubt. No doubt.
Absolutely. And in my mind, I didn't know. My brain wasn't expanded enough. At that time, I'm always thinking, well, PTSD, well, you have to go to war for that. Well, little did I know you can have a war zone in your own home growing up. That you
Facts.
can have PTSD from that as well. So yes, he definitely had that. Hey, Lovejoy. Oh
Hey,
wow,
love
there are
girl.
a lot of Laquita. Hello. She said, "Hey y'all." All
Hey,
right, here's
Laquita.
wow, that was a crazy and sad story. Sounds like he had a lot going on. Yes, and there's a lot I'm leaving out, but those were the highlights right there. And absolutely, Jackie, oftentimes we go into looking for a potential husband as opposed to collecting data.
No doubt. No doubt.
So, what I noticed too about how people will shame you for being single or not married. And a perfect example, if you look at some of these housewives and you know how the women start bickering, well, get a man. That's why you're not married. And it's the shame that they put on people for being single. Have you heard
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hear it all the time. Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
It's just that. Oh, it's the. Oh, I know. I was talking to a young girl. Oh, yeah. I was talking to this young girl. And she's her mother is called different generation, and her mother was kind of trying to force her to go ahead and get married and have kids. A lot of the older generation do that, you know what I'm saying? Because they I guess they're afraid I'm gonna go, I need some grandkids or whatever, whatever. But my thing is this right here. We living in a day and time now, and I mean I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this. What's up, Bree? I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this, but what I am saying is that there are a lot of people now that's deciding they don't want to be married. You
Right.
know, I just want to connect with somebody for the rest of my life. We don't got to be married. We could just be together. A lot of people feel like that. So
Mm-hmm. Bree said, yes, because we're taught as women that our worth is defined by our marital status.
yeah, big
That
time, big
absolutely agree
time,
with that.
big time.
Absolutely agree. And don't want to mess around and be single without kids.
Yeah,
I remember one time a man had asked me, well, what's wrong with you?
yeah, yeah. You don't men, you know what? Single men don't get that. Single men, we don't get that kind of those questions ever.
Absolutely not. So you like then you're defective. Oh, wait, I think we have someone. Someone logged in and logged out real quick. So let's talk about your book and no, let's talk about your programs that you have. Let me drop that in the link while you're talking about it.
Okay, so let me talk about the first thing I have. I created a 2 hour dating training course. And I did that for people who didn't necessarily want to be a part of my community, but you still wanted to learn. And the dating course is 2 hours. I'm teaching you about attachment styles, how to discover your attachment style, how to discover the person's attachment style you're connected to, how to be, delivered from soul ties, non-negotiables, red flags, green flags, what we call high quality, low quality men. I'm giving you characteristics of both, right? That's important. Teaching you how to date, steps in dating, what to do, how to date, all that. So that's a 2 hour course where there's activities, and I'm talking to you. So I would get that training course. I think I have it today on sale until midnight tonight. It's $39. But if after midnight it goes back up to $59.99, which is still a reasonable price.
Absolutely.
And
I dropped that link in the chat just now. I'm listening.
thank you. And then if you want to be a part of my community and you want me to coach with you, I have two programs, a 6-week program and a 12-week program. A 6-week program is for people that's already dating. You've already done the work on yourself. You're already dating, but you just want to get some tips as you move along to help you to be more successful. That's a 6-week program. The 12-week program is for people who still need to do a little work on themselves. So we're going to deal with self-esteem. We're going to deal with self-appreciation and all those types of things first, and then we move into the portion of dating. That's the 12-week program. So, and to be a part of my community right now, I think I have right about 50, 52, 53 women or something like that. I think it is.
Nice.
We have a beautiful time, great community. A lot of the women are on here. I have a community chat that they're in. And really, I'm not the only one, you know, I'm the coach, of course, but they're helping one another. They're supporting one another. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because let me tell you this. The problem with a lot of us now, especially in this day and time, when community is not community like it was when we were coming up, right? We had family reunions and family gatherings and all those. We don't do that anymore. Everybody's now in their own lane. I'm over here. I'm over here. We'll catch up. Community is needed again. And to be a part of this community is a beautiful thing, because when you're going through, sometimes you just need somebody to talk to. You know, you can't talk to somebody that's close to you because you don't want everybody. You talk to somebody in the community. That's the beautiful thing about having it. So. And I also have a book that's on Amazon. I really don't talk about this book much because the book it's an older book and it needs to be revised, but it's still some good information in it. So trust me.
Is it on your website?
It's on Amazon, but it's called Ladies, Here's Why You Keep Choosing the Wrong Guy. It's on Amazon.
Oh, wait. Let me look that up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's the same thing. I mean, like I told you, I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. So a lot of the stuff y'all hear me talk about now, I teach you how to identify certain types of men. I put them in the category of fishermen, and I tell you how to look out for certain things. And it's a great book. I read it actually again for the first time in years the other night, just to kind of see where I was at, the growth and all that. Right? It's an awesome book. It's really a good book. But yeah, it's on Amazon. Ladies, here's why you keep choosing the wrong guy. And for those of you that are believers, because I am a believer, okay. First, those of you that believers, I have another book on it I wrote. It's called Igniting the Spirit of Evangelism. Igniting the Spirit of Evangelism. I have those two books, and both of those books were Amazon bestsellers.
Really? Wait, this is good. I'm looking at it now on Amazon. I just dropped this long link, but it's in there right now I'm going to check out that book. Okay, it just posted. Look at that link. But it's a live link, so it's taking everyone. It'll take you directly to his book. And tell me the name of the second book again.
The second book is Igniting the Spirit of Evangelism. Igniting the Spirit of Evangelism.
Just what are your thoughts on Christian dating apps? That just crossed my mind just now.
I don't really like them because they're too diluted with a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And I think the idea is good, but you can't. There's not enough buffers in place to keep out a lot of the nonsense. I think if you're gonna call yourself a Christian dating app, you got to work that much harder to keep the nonsense out. Because
why do you say that?
Because if this is a Christian dating app, you got believers that are coming to these apps looking for believers, not looking for stuff that you're gonna find on Plenty of Fish, right? You see what I'm saying? And these Christian dating apps, it's just like a Plenty of Fish in a lot of cases. You're gonna find some people on there that's serious about it, but a large majority of the people, they over there, just playing around. It's not really even serious about anything. So.
So, do you want to leave our listeners with one good tip for dating?
Yeah. When you date, I would give you two. I'm gonna do two quick tips. Number one.
Let's get it.
Try to keep your dates around 60 to 90 minutes long. And I don't even call them dates. I call them meetups, right? Keep your meetups around 60 to 90 minutes long.
Why?
Try to do stuff out, because 60 to 90 minute long dates, you really meetups, you're really going to collect data, right? It's not You're not trying to go fall in love with somebody. It's really going to see if this person is the right person for you. When you're on these meetups, don't do a whole bunch of talking. Don't over talk because you're trying to convince him that you're the person for him. No, you're there to find out if he's the person for you, and he's there doing the same. So do a lot of listening and ask the right question. 60 to 90 minutes meetups are good. Try to do meetups like bowling, pool, shooting pool, riding bikes out somewhere. I don't agree with the whole dinner date thing on the first meetups, because if I get to a dinner date and I don't really care, I don't really dig you like that. Now I'm stuck at this dinner date. They got my card. I gotta wait for food. I can't get them lead. Just too much,
Or
right?
you
Just
can
do
have a
something.
date with an alcoholic police officer.
Or right, something like that. So it's just like, just do something that's out that you can actually get out of the situation quick if you chose to, and something fun. The thing about it is, I'm gonna tell you something I heard a young lady say. She says she liked to do her first meetups at an escape room. And the reason she gave was amazing. I thought it was true. She says escape rooms can really show you your partner's problem solving skills. Do they work well under pressure? Do they crack under pressure? When the pressure's on, are they going to argue with you and fight with you? The escape rooms, I don't know if y'all ever been to an escape room, but escape room, you got to work together with your partner to get out of that room, or out of that building, or out of that thing, right? You got to plan. Y'all got to read a map or whatever, and you got to figure out how to get out. That can put a lot of pressure on people, and you can find out a lot about a person on a first meetup by doing something like that.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a real good idea. Um, I've heard people talk about going on coffee, tea dates, well, information gathering, as opposed to the dinner dates as well.
I
Me,
told it. Yeah, coffee, tea. I've done those. Matter of fact, the last date I went out, or the last meetup I was on, it was with a young lady, and we did a coffee meetup. Yep, sure did.
let me ask you this. Do you feel that the more healing, working on your healing or your self-awareness, do you feel that your dating pool it has become a little smaller?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah,
Mine
no
have
doubt.
shrunk.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I was at work and my coworker had asked me the same thing. And she said, "Well, it seems like you wouldn't have any problems." I said, "Well, it's not that I do." I said, "But my dating pool has definitely shrunk." And she asked me why. I said, "Because I now pay attention to the red flags." So when you don't pay attention to the red flags, that pool is, you have an ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I was asking. I just I hear that a lot.
Oh, nah, it definitely changes. Because, yeah, and no question. And the thing of it is that I tell women this. Women, y'all don't need me to help y'all find a man. That's not why I'm in y'all life. Y'all can find a man on your own. But to be able to date and to find somebody that's good for you and to know the right way to do it, that's why I'm here. Either myself as well as y'all, we can easily go out right now and find, men or women or situationships or whatever. That's easy. But
Right.
finding somebody that is quality, y'all are going in the same direction, y'all have some of the same goals, and he's a person, he's not just potential, but he's also patterns, right? Because a lot
Mhm.
of a lot of you ladies, y'all know everything y'all need to know about potential. Y'all are getting potential in a minute. You don't need to be hooking up with potential. Make sure you
No.
watching their patterns. Their patterns are going to tell you everything about them, right?
Yes. I always like to say the patterns are the receipts, not the
Yeah,
fantasy bombs
exactly.
that we
That's
create in
good.
our head.
That's good.
Those are the receipts, because that's the blueprint right there.
That's
But
good.
we try to change it up. I get it. Jackie says that we choose who we are going to date and y'all choose who you're going to marry. Hmm.
Mm, I guess that could be true.
Yeah, I'm kind of to think about that.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
that could be true.
go a little deeper on that if you like. I do want to mention, going back to the community. I'm a firm believer of communities. How you have your community, I don't know what you call your group, but I go to a group therapy, and there's something about being, I believe being in a community, it gives you practice on being comfortable with being vulnerable, because the information, the things we share about ourselves, about each other, it is nothing like it. I have group therapy every Tuesday.
Yeah,
I love going to it. And there's something about being in community with the borrowed benefits you get from other people. There's nothing, it's like the chef's kiss. There's
yeah,
nothing like it. And then
yeah.
to be with people that look like you and you don't feel, I believe it takes away of some of the guilt and shame. You think your own situation is unique to yourself, and then you're talking to people, girl, you've been to that too. That happened to you too. And then we heal together. So kudos to you for having a community, because I believe when someone experiences that kind of, however the community looks, there's nothing like it.
I had
And
a
it's an opportunity to have build new friendships with healthy people.
and that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Like,
Yeah.
because in my community, that's I got women from all over the world, all over the country, right? So
Really?
yeah, and it's amazing because now you got people who, like, you like one woman said, "Yeah, I'm in DC, you in DC, I'm in Baltimore, let's connect." So it's built, you're building relationships now. Um, the beautiful thing about it was a woman in my community. She told me this the other day. She said, "I'm gonna be with you until I get married." She said, "I ain't going. I'm just
Nice.
here," because the community is really that type of community where we just really show genuine love and appreciation for each other, and everybody gets along. I think they had this little thing where they did in the community where they had a call that they would get on at night, and they called it midnight madness, or I don't know what they was calling it, but they got on their own call and did their thing. They were doing it was just good to see people coming together, man. And I appreciate, I'm gonna tell you something. And I feel extremely blessed because the caliber of women that God has sent to my community. I mean, ain't no Rudy poops in there, man. Y'all probably don't know that word. That's an old country word right there. But yeah, it's some real quality, genuine, go get it movers and shaking women in that community. And I'm thankful every day to be able to be their coach, because they're amazing.
That's amazing. Have you ever thought about doing a speed dating event or something?
I was gonna do it. I really don't want to, because I don't want to be attached to something that don't work out right. And I
Okay.
because this is what I'm saying. If I put something on and they know, people know I'm attached to it, and then they meet somebody and it don't work, I'm gonna be the fall guy. Well, Coach Paul put this thing, and I don't even want to take it, because people are always gonna look for, just like the situation that happened with Steve Harvey and
That was in my head.
yeah, the first thing they said was Steve introduced her to him, and that wasn't even true. She said it the other day.
Yeah.
She said it the other day that didn't happen, but that's how it happens. People going to get the person out front. Everybody going to say if it don't work out, well, Coach Paul did it, so I don't even want to be attached to that.
Okay. That's fair. Fair. Any parting words as we conclude this amazing talk we had?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. This was amazing podcast. I love your energy.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, Paul.
the flow between us was really good.
Yeah.
I really think, I'm a good reader of people, and I can always tell when people ain't really genuine, like they got some other stuff going on. You are a very genuine person, and I love your
Ah,
spirit. I
thank
love your spirit. I really do. And
thank
this
you.
was good for me. Listen. This is what I do. I'm talking about. I'll probably be in my sleep talking this stuff, man. Like, like this is what I do. So I appreciate you for inviting me on.
Absolutely. We should do it again.
Anytime, just let me know.
Yeah, I have your information. And look, someone just concurred. This was a great exchange.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Ursula, what? You are always so engaged. Girl, because I'm a constant student. I am always
Yeah,
learning, right? This this didn't just happen overnight, and I'm always learning. So yes, thank you for that compliment. I am always engaged. There's nothing. There's nothing. Let me keep it real. Because of the blueprint I was given. So it's not blame, it's just the blueprint that I was given and what I saw growing up. Um, it was always acceptable. It was almost passed down like a family heirloom to always take care of other people before yourself. So
Right.
I for a long time always pouring so much into others and not into myself. So now I'm in this student mode of learning more about Ursula. And then when I get back some layers, let me peel back some more onion layers. So I've heard that NA before about me being engaged is because I'm always now pouring into myself. And I love to learn about not what I'm doing, but why do I do it? Why am I dating this
Right.
person? Why am I navigating? Why do I say my thought process? So yeah, I just love learning about me. So that's where that comes from. But thank you, Paul. I definitely want to do this again. I love your TikToks. I love listening and reading the comments as well because I'm always learning. So I just like the exchange on there as well. So I dropped your TikTok account as well in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And any lady in here that if you were dating, seriously dating, and you are seriously looking to be in something successful, I would love to have you in our community. I'm proud. I'm proud of the program that we've been able to put in place. I mean, because there's some of the stuff that we do in those programs really stretch the women to the point where because every Monday night we do our Zoom to go over the weekly homework because you have homework every week. So we go over the weekly.
Yes, there you go. That life
Yeah,
work. That's where it's
yeah.
at.
So every
Yeah.
Monday in the Zoom, we go over the homework. But when I'm telling you that listen, there's been times when we went over the homework, almost everybody in the Zoom in tears, including myself.
Yes, really.
Oh my God, it's man. Listen, matter of fact, it happened Monday night. We had a lady that put up showed us her homework, went over her homework, and when I tell you, man, it pulled at everybody's heartstrings. And the thing I love about it the most is that people are connecting with a part of themselves that they never had. Right? Yeah.
That touched me
It's
right there. That
Oh my God.
yes.
It's something serious to see women, grown women, old, middle-aged, older women, they're touching a part of themselves. And a lot of women, what I find, they've had a hard time of speaking well of themselves. Oof, it's hard time speaking well of themselves. But when you in our community, oh, you have to do it. This is some of the assignments because the most important words you ever gonna hear in your life are the words you say to yourself.
How about that? Yes. And you could always tell a lot. You give somebody a compliment and they counteract counteract it with a negative comment about
Yep,
themselves.
yep.
Oh,
That
your
speaks to
hair
a lot
looks
of
good. Oh, I need to get it done. It's all
Yep.
raggedy. Girl, just say thank you. It's
They take the
okay.
compliment. Let me tell you something. Every time a woman tell me I'm fine, thank you. Paul, you got some great lips. You got some great lips. You want to see them from the side? There you go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna take a compliment because at the end of the day, you know, uh, I believe that about myself anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So it's good. It's when you hear it, you just receive it. So that's what's happening in our community. A lot of these women are growing in a way. Some of these women have said to me, and I thought it was powerful. A lot of these women have said to me, they said, I become a different person in the few weeks that I've been. Some of them ain't even finished the program and they've already become different people.
Yes. That's because they're getting closer to their self. Like
No, no
true
doubt.
capital S self.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
that is. So
Yeah.
they're just I feel they're getting not a different person, they're just getting to their core who they really are,
Yeah. Yeah.
which in turn they'll be able to decipher on what's good for them because their intuition is going to tell them.
But
They just will.
one of my goals, and I talk to them about this all the time. My goal is that I hope that the majority of them by this time next year are solid relationships. That's one of the things we're working towards. That by time next year. Now, of course, I don't really have no real control over that, but I can. But that's one of the goals. So It's good, man. It's been good.
That's pretty dope. I like that. This, too bad we are not in the same city because we could have a collaboration in person. But it'll happen. It'll happen one way or another. But that's cool. And people who are here in Atlanta, just know that is going to happen sooner than later. Be on the lookout. But it would just always be good to have a man on the panel as well. But there you go. Someone said, wow. Okay, people are loving this. Jackie said, yes, let's do it again. And that the collaboration was good. Awesome.
Yeah, this was amazing. This was you asked great questions, and it was a great exchange. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, stay on. I'm going to end this podcast. Everyone, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your engaging questions, and I'm learning from you all as well. So thank you so much for watching this until the end. If you enjoyed this podcast, just drop a 1 in the chat or a light bulb emoji, and make sure and tune in next week. I don't know who's on next week. I'll have to think about it. I can't think of it now. But either way, because you subscribe to the channel, you're already going to get the notification. Paul, thank you again. Awesome.
No problem.
All right. Oh, one more thing, Paul. Guess what?
What's that?
Paul, guess what?
Yes. What?
You are a Black man that's getting his shift together.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and booty walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun kiss God is heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift